Hey, how's it going? It's Grant
And Shelby.
with the Garden of Eder, and tonight we're going to be talking all about what you got to do when your tank crashes. Now, I'm talking several deaths in the tank, maybe even an entire crash. So, of course, that's a worst case situation, but say if you just have, 40 to 60% of your colony dying off and you want to try to do your best to save them, what should you do? What's the best course of action to take? And I've got a few different opinions about this. There's a lot of different ways you can rush into things, take things slow and easy, but I'm going to give you my one and done solution that I think would fare even if you were keeping fish or some other type of species of animal. This is like what I would do in any style situation where there was multiple losses. So first off, I would prep water for a water change if I didn't already have a water getting ready. That is the most important thing. Chances are your tank has already been in the situation. Don't know if you were just waking up, turned on your lights, and the crash happened overnight, or if you're at work, or whatever the situation may be. But chances are 20 to 30 minutes of you taking some proper precautions and taking care of your water and making sure that that's perfect is going to be prime and going to save you a lot of time, effort, and money, and possibly fish's life. Because if the water isn't right going into the tank when you do your emergency water change, then you're just adding on even more shock to what could, possibly be like an IV drip or something like that that is actually supposed to be helping them out, would actually be causing them damage. So take the time, prep your water. This is why we always try to keep at least one trash can filled up, even when we go on vacation. That way, if I ever do get home and I have to do an emergency water change, or there's some scenario where we got to tackle it, we've got that water already ready. For our house, everything is kept, relatively similar parameters, and everything outside just gets tap water anyways. So we always have water available, except for the Opaula and the Suluese. We would have to make that on command. But that would be the very first thing that I would do if I saw a situation, is I would get that water ready. That's going to take the longest time, and it's what is most important. So first and foremost, prep your water. Then the next thing I would do is start to siphon out the water. Take out the water as fast as you possibly can, depending on how skilled you are and how many shrimp and whatnot are in the tank. If you can siphon out dead bodies at the same time, then do that. But just know, it's really hard to siphon up dead bodies and not get other shrimp that are eating the corpses and stuff like that. So I always recommend pulling out a net while you have something clamped on to siphon out the water, and then net out as many of the dead bodies as you possibly can. That's going to prevent more ammonia from building up in the aquarium. After you siphon out the water, you're really not going to be able to stay on top of water control or anything like that. It is Crypt Keeper question of the week. Oh, you're going to have to step up and take this for me.
Oh.
Just talk about this briefly. You can't set it up.
I don't even know where you were.
So just talk about crashing tanks, ammonia, and prepping water, and then draining the tanks and catching up the dead bodies, and why it's important to remove the dead bodies first.
I didn't hear anything he just said. It might not help. It helps to listen. I am so sorry about this. Welcome in, Luke. I'm just going to talk for a minute. So, obviously, it might help to listen to Grant for just a second. I don't know where he was, but I'm assuming he means to take out dead bodies. If there is any dead shrimp in the tank, obviously you want to remove those first. Shrimp, when they tend to die, they do get a little mushy, and that could cause a bigger issue, especially with ammonia as well. And so you do want to get those out as quick as you can. You can siphon them out, but there's chances you might be siphoning babies. Usually just net them out is the easiest way. You back?
Yeah, that
I'm
was
already-
one of the
I'm already
funniest
done.
pocket dials I've ever gotten.
Oh, okay.
One of the funniest ones.
I explained to remove the shrimp, and that's as far as I got.
Somebody just called me while they're trying to potty train their kid. So like, I kind of knew what was going on, but it's like, you meaning to call me? Yeah. So all right. Sorry about that, everyone. So siphon out your water, have your water prepped, take out the dead bodies. Did you touch up on all of that?
Talked about the dead bodies.
All right. So after you've moved after the dead bodies are out of there, then you want to make sure to clean the crime scene, right? No, that is not where we're at. We are taking out the water, remove the dead bodies, and then after that, you got to make sure you check your water parameters because from there, you need to make sure those are going to match up to the water that you're preparing, but also the water parameters are going to tell you what's wrong. So it's going to tell you how to mix your water and stuff like that. Also, there could be a series of issues with your water, but we're going to come to that in a little bit because depending on what you're going to see on those parameters, you're going to be mixing your water differently. At the same time as you're checking your parameters, you also want to check your filtration and make sure that some type of oxygen is being ran into your tank, whether it's surface tension or something like that. So as soon as you get the water test valve and you're pretty sure that the water parameters and everything like that are spot on to the water being mixed up, the only thing you could want to change and stuff like that is alter the TDS, the GH, and KH depending on what the results were. So if you tested your water and that was the reason, or the KH, the TDS, or the GH was the reason why your shrimp all died, then of course the water might need to be exaggerated, or you might need to double check that the water you're prepping and making and adding into the tank doing water changes is on point. I probably said that the most confusing possible way ever. Like that probably made no sense at all. But checking your water is going to do a lot of things, answer a lot of questions depending on what it is. But there are situations where it doesn't answer any questions. So it makes sense if you have like a bunch of dead bodies in the aquarium and then there's high ammonia. Of course, the high ammonia is there from all the dead bodies. If you're testing the water, though, and all your parameters are okay, and even the ammonia is rather low, then, what else could possibly be the problem? That's when I like to add Aqua Char into the situation. Chances are some type of chemical or something like that got into the aquarium, and then the Aqua Char is going to be your best method to get ahead of that poison or whatever could be killing your shrimp.
Soup Dog coming in with a member for 6 months super chat saying, pimping out my Green Neo 6-month membership. Oh, so, you get a little Green Neo on that one? Yeah. Sorry, I just now noticed. I couldn't remember which colors and which order I did.
So,
sorry.
Congratulations on your 6-month membership. Thank you for supporting us for so long. Appreciate that, Soup Dog. My parents just left. I should have a couple days to get back to you on your messages as well. So, for those people that are having issues and all of their parameters line up and, the GH, the KH, everything's on point and they don't know what else to do, I generally recommend just tossing a little bit of Aqua Char into the aquarium. There was a time when I thought that the Aqua Char was a cure-all because I'd never had anybody say, oh, it didn't work. There was one situation where the Aqua Char did not help this individual, maybe two now, but like that's just because the amount of people that are using Aqua Char out there are a lot more. It's getting a lot more popular just with my circle and our followers and customers and stuff like that. But majority of the results, like 90% of the time, if somebody's struggling and all the parameters are working, Aqua Char is like the answer. It's helped out a ton. We do have one problem tank. When Gary Lane came over, Shelby pointed out that even with our last dip efforts to try and get the tank, under stable and under control with large water changes and staying on top of everything I listed beforehand on our protocol, the tank still wasn't up to where I wanted it. Even added an Aqua Char, and we still having some issues. So now my plan is to add in some bacteria, and if that doesn't work, then I'm going to remove those shrimp, add them into another aquarium, one that I don't really care too much about, just in case it is something sick with the shrimp. There have been cases where the shrimp are just sick with something. It's not like a bacterial infection where it shows the muscular necrosis or anything like that. And the shrimp are just dying, 2 or 3 a day until the colony disappears. So it's definitely possible, but I always like to keep Aqua Char on deck just in case something like that happens.
So a couple questions about the Aqua Char. Chief Dog said, so Aqua Char is safe for neos and caradinas?
Yeah. We use it for both of them, no problem at all. We even have it in our Sulawesi tanks.
And then Johnny asked, is Aqua Char the same as charcoal they sell in Petco?
So Aqua Char is a little bit different than the Aqua Char. I'm sorry. Different than the charcoal and the natural carbons and stuff like that. You can get like charcoal and stuff for terrariums, for isopod mix and stuff like that. But that's more of like a broken down, fired charcoal that's going to deteriorate quite quickly. It's meant to be broken down and stuff like that. The Aqua Char is burnt in a different way than your regular charcoal, and it's burnt without any flame, and it causes all of the smoke and all the carbon that would have been burnt off to actually stay in the structure. It keeps it harder, causes it to last longer, and then that way you're able to recharge it and use it. Every 6 months you can clean it with some of the hydrogen peroxide and then use it again and again. So we've had Aqua Char in some of our aquariums now for 2.5 years, maybe even longer. I'm pretty sure February will be 3 years. If I'm correct, I think so. Maybe 4 years, honestly. Since I used the Aqua Char in the tanks because of the flea meds. I think it'll be 4 years because
this is almost a year.
No, because I think you did your flight early 2020 before COVID. So February will be 4 years. Yeah. So, what is? I saw another question, or should I dive back into it?
No. Abstract did ask for you to do the math and see how many gallons of water you're keeping, and I said it would take too long. And usually we do that as a contest after we do a tour video of the house, like an updated tour video. So just keep an eye out for that. Usually every time we do an updated tour video, it'll be our next live, and we'll calculate it then, because we'll be like that for a little bit till, the next track.
So, like I mentioned, Aqua Char works like 90% of the time. I highly recommend it to be in one of the medicine cabinets. We talked briefly about it being the savior of our flea med epidemic in 2020. It was quite devastating at first, but then the Aqua Char really saved my shrimp's life, and that is why it became the first product that we carried on our website, and we can stand behind it, and we continue to sell it still and use it ourselves to this day. Like I mentioned, we had an issue with the tank. And I ran through all of these issues, checked all the parameters, everything kind of was on point except for the ammonia, which the ammonia makes sense because of the dead shrimp in the tank, and that's why I added some bacteria. Maybe the cycles crash and there's no longer any actual bacteria in the filter able to maintain the low bioload from the shrimp in the first place. So once there was an issue, it just kind of created a domino effect. So adding the bacteria, I should get on top of things. I haven't lost any shrimp yet. So since
Big Dog asks, can you have a 75-gallon shrimp tank? Will it be better than a 10-gallon?
Yeah, the bigger the better. That's why we do the 275-gallon tubs. That's why the other people are also copying the 275-gallon tubs. It's just the more water volume for anything that you're going to keep, the easier it is to keep those parameters stable and consistent. And then after that, you do have to keep up on your water changes and stuff like that. But it's easier to do the water changes and maintain, consistent levels throughout the water change. So back to me.
One more question. Johnny said, Grant, if carrying a mixed pinto shrimp was to crash and I have no Aqua Char, but I have regular aquarium charcoal, would that help?
I don't know about the regular aquarium charcoal. It should help. Any activated carbon should. I don't know if the aquarium charcoal is going to be the same as the carbon. So I'm not quite fit to answer that question exactly. So
I
do
believe
know
that it pulls out some.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I just don't know if you can use it and then keep it in your aquarium, or if you have to pull it out, or how much you have to use, etc. I do know the benefit to using Aqua Char over activated carbon is the activated carbon needs to be replaced and taken out in a month, or else it starts to break down to a little grainy black substance. So you definitely get advantages over using the Aqua Char, even though it's a little bit more expensive up front. It's cheaper in the long run.
And Two Dog asked, do you have your air pump for your tubs outside, and how is it protected from the weather?
I'm using my dad's old tiki bar that was, once rather protected and taken well care of. It's rather old, but now we're kind of using it as a shed. And we have our 1/3 horsepower blower in there that powers all the pumps, powers all the filters outside. We're going to do another system quite similar to that, and I'm thinking we're just going to do air stones and do larger water changes and not have to worry about the filters and cleaning that and maintaining those is like the biggest upkeep outside. They get kind of clogged and dirty rather fast. All right, back to me.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's say you check your parameters and your KH is low, and you need KH in your water to keep your pH stable. Then you need to add some baking soda or some GH/KH minerals to raise that up. Same with the GH. If your GH is, too low, your shrimp aren't able to molt, and then you got to get that number up. The best way to do that is to add in minerals. So maybe you didn't set up the aquarium right, or maybe your substrate absorbed some minerals and you didn't notice it through the cycle. Usually that stops happening after you've done a couple water changes. It can only absorb so much, just like a sponge can only soak up so much water. Eventually it's going to stop doing that. So once you have the parameter stable, you can easily keep up with your water changes. But maybe it's at the very beginning and you checked your water, your GH is low. Chances are it might have got absorbed through the substrate, or you're not mixing it properly the night before. That's why we mix our salts an entire 24 hours if possible, or at least the night beforehand, because you can mix your salts to 150 and then the next day some of the salt didn't get mixed up all the way, and now you have 160, or maybe some of the salt mixed up and dissolved more than it should have and dissipated in the water column, and now you're at 130. So now you got to add in a little bit more, and that way you get your water parameters perfect off by testing it and mixing it thoroughly for at least a day. So when you have your perfect water parameters and everything lined up, then you can redo your water change. You can do a 40 to 50% water change, just go slow, and you're going to get your parameters closer to what they're supposed to be at. And then like 2 to 4 days later, you can do a very small 10% water change, with just a little bit increased GH or KH, whichever parameter you needed to increase. You can do easy math to try and figure out how high you got to raise it at 10% water change to figure out to get it back to normal levels. You just don't want to change things too drastically too soon. You could even wait, a week, or just do normal water changes at the right levels at 20 to 40%, and things eventually will level back up and get things back into order. Say you have a Caridina tank and you have KH in the water and you need to get the KH out, I highly recommend doing like an 80 to 90% water change, because having that KH in the water even a week, 2 weeks, or longer, you're definitely going to be exhausting that substrate and shortening the life of it, so that way it's not going to last you as long as it should have. So that to me requires a much larger water change than just a simple low GH or low KH. And then if your GH is too high, that's not really like a big of an issue. I would just do 10% water changes, or however often you do your water changes, with a proper GH and TDS to get things back to where they're supposed to be at. And then, the real only major killer that I really talked about is ammonia. The failed molts and stuff like that from low GH and KH is going to be, a few at a time. Not all shrimp molt and on the same day. It's not like the first of the month they're all going to molt at the same time. One's going to molt one day, a couple are going to molt another day, and so on. So you'll notice that's why a couple of shrimp will die here and there. It could be a molting issue. There are signs that the shrimp will get stuck in molts and have a ring of death or something like that. It generally points out a little bit of a molting issue, or there's like some type of separation or a gap from the head and the body of the shrimp. Some shrimp can live with it for quite some time. Some of them generally die quite quickly. But a lot of times it can happen from poor water quality. Sometimes it can happen from just long old life and stuff like that. So, you got any questions for me?
There was one. I'm sorry. Yeah. Johnny said, Grant, as a beginner shrimper, please teach me more about the benefits of Aqua Char. Every day you learn something new. In Kevin Hart's voice, I can't do that. You're going to learn today.
So, Aqua Char, for the most part, was a product that one of my buddies gave me after one of the shows, and was like, hey man, try out this product and see how it works with the shrimp. So I kind of brought it home and was like, all right, I kind of know its uses. I don't really need it right now. And then we were setting up the ponds outside, and not all of them, but some of them had a little bit of a green water issue. And so I decided this was a good idea and a good time to try out some of the Aqua Char. Threw it in the aquariums, and a lot of them cleared up, and the Aqua Char seemed to take care of the algae issue outside and the clarity issue. So it worked for the Neocaridina, but I was not willing to risk it on the Caridina inside. And then one day, Shelby left me, took a plane, flew to Atlanta.
You sound like I just dipped on you.
And had to go to a manager's conference. And I dropped her off at the airport, went to the Florida State Fair, escaped an aquarium, stopped at Petco on the way home, grabbed some flea medicine, and got to my house, put the flea meds on my dogs like I had done every month for like 5 years or 5.5 years that I had been keeping shrimp in tanks at the time. And we had never had any issues before, but that day, however, I just so happened to get some of our 6-foot aquarium lights. They're 72 inches long, and they came with 3 boxes for every light. And we had a sword fight in our living room when this big stand and all these other stands weren't in the middle here where they are now. And when we had the sword fight, it took some of the hair off the dogs that had some of the flea meds on and flung it into our aquariums. And I didn't notice. I went outside, I drained our pool, sprayed it down, pressure wash, filled it back up, or got it filling back up, took a shower, ate dinner, and then started to play some Call of Duty when I noticed that the shrimp were going zing and then floating down, and then going zing and then floating down, and then like laying on their backs and then their legs just barely moving. And I thought for sure that the shrimp in that tank were dying. And sure enough, some of them were, but I got up and looked at it on the step stool because we had our tanks up high. And I was like, oh man. And the first thing I did was look at the next tank, and then it was similar but not as bad. I looked at the next tank, and it was similar but not as bad as the last tank, and so on and so on. But basically, what happened was every single tank that didn't have a lid, all of our aquariums now have lids. But back then, we were still adding, for every aquarium that we set up, we would add 2 lids. So eventually, where we are at now, we have lids on all of our aquariums. So we had issues with 21 aquariums. I messaged all my buddies that were close and kept a lot of shrimp and said, hey, you notice anything like this? What should I do? And one of my buddies, and I kind of knew it was from the flea meds, so I threw out that tidbit of information. And one of my buddies who does mushroom farming now, Chaz, was like, hey man, you should go ahead and throw some activated carbon in your aquariums. And I was like, I don't have any of that. And anytime I get some of that with our aquarium kits or anything, we just throw it away. Like, I would never use activated carbon for a lot of things. It's just, I'm going to forget about it, take it out in a month anyway. So I, messaged my buddy and that recommended activated carbon, and was like, hey, I got this Aqua Char. Do you know anything about it? This might work. And my buddy was like, yeah, no, I've actually was just talking about Brian about this. That should do the job just fine. And so without hesitation, I took the Aqua Char and just started throwing handfuls into our aquarium. And within minutes, the shrimp that were laying on their backs and just barely hanging on for life were walking around like nothing ever happened. The shrimp stopped zinging and zagging around the tank. And then, of course, the shrimp in one of the aquariums that was already dead, it didn't bring those shrimp back to life. But I only had dead shrimp in that one tank. If I didn't act on it and throw the activated carbon in when I did, I would have lost all 21 aquariums. It wasn't activated carbon. It was the charcoal. So, not charcoal. Oh my God, I'm fumbling this. Sorry. The Aqua Char. And the good thing about the Aqua Char is I'm lazy and we didn't have to take it out. So it stayed in the aquariums, and those shrimp that it saved are still in those tanks to this day, still breeding and thriving. And some of you in this chat that are listening right now have shrimp that were saved because of Aqua Char. So it's like one of those things where if you're setting up ponds and you've got fire ants outside, and you every 3 months you do fire ant killer, but you forgot you set up ponds around the side, so you're just spraying like you always do, and then bam, it's in your pond before you can get around the corner and see the work that you did. Instead of freaking out and doing a massive water change, I just simply went inside, grabbed some Aqua Char, and threw it into the pond, and none of the fish died. I've also got people that had issues with bug bombing and Febreze and different kinds of oils and stuff on their hands, and the Aqua Char has worked and saved their tanks. And then we've also had people that just can't figure out what goes on. Your spouse does things that you'll never know about, where they're just like trying to keep up your smell or odor from work, where they go behind you with Febreze and Lysol. It's not something they're hiding. It's just like they're just doing that as a prevention, and they just so happen to be spraying it near one of your shrimp tanks. Well, that could cause some issues. Some Aqua Char in there isn't going to be a lifelong solution. It's only going to absorb so much of the chemicals before it kills off some of your shrimp. You're going to want to stop doing that around your shrimp tanks for sure. But, it's going to be some of those things where if you see 1 or 2 dead shrimp in your tank, you throw in some of the Aqua Char in the tank and you're trying to figure out, like, hey, maybe one of your kids is spraying perfume in the bathroom and your tank is a little bit too close, or it's in the bathroom, have them spray their perfume in their rooms or something away from your shrimp tank. So, anything else you want to add to Aqua Char?
Did you even mention the fact that it soaks it up? That's what Aqua Char does when you throw it in a tank. Did you explain what it does when it gets in the tank?
So basically, like activated carbon, it bonds to those chemicals and makes them inert. So that way they're not going to harm or affect the aquarium. The smaller the pieces, the more surface area, the faster it's going to work. So that way, if I was in like an emergency situation, I really needed it to work fast, I would actually grab some of it and crumple it over the tank, try and make some dust. That dust is going to get into the tank and bond with the particles a lot quicker than just the actual chunks of Aqua Char themselves.
And I know you mentioned earlier about how you don't have to take it out. What I'd say is a lot of times when you're doing like charcoal or activated carbon, you don't really want to keep it in there. I've heard a lot of people that actually use that they need to remove it from the tank after, everything starts to get better. Otherwise it caused some issues, but Aqua Char we've thrown in and we've left in there for a long time and it never really caused any issues. We still had multiple breeding even after that. So it does take a little bit for a tank that starts to crash to come back. So you got to be wary of that. It's not, your tank's not doing bad. It's just, it stresses them out. So it just takes a little bit longer for them to come back and start breeding and producing again. That's it. There is a question. Shady Grady said, can a Caridina shrimp tank crash from a population explosion? Should I do more than a 10% a week water change if the tanks are full of babies at different stages?
So the only way your Caridina population is going to crash is basically, or from like a population explosion, is if a bunch of shrimp get eaten and gutted at the same time and they like cause a bunch of other shrimp to get it. I don't think that's really a possibility. What's more than likely going to happen is the females are going to start to get stressed out. They're not going to have somewhere that they can go and feel relaxed and calm and have their babies. So what's going to happen is they're going to absorb their babies, or the babies are going to get eaten because they're little squishy snacks when they first molt. So one of the other shrimp that are awfully hungry and bigger and walking by, especially the juveniles that are really hungry, they'll eat the baby shrimp like it's going to be no problem. So honestly, the shrimp themselves are going to take care of the population problem before you have a crash. But 10% a week is a fine percentage to do your water changes. We do 20 to 40%. Just because the plants, the shrimp, the moss, everything seems to grow a little bit quicker, a little bit faster when we do that. So it seems worth it for us.
I would suggest that you do a 20% a week if you have a bigger tank with a bigger population, because you got to think if it's not the shrimp that's causing the issue, it's the fact that you have to feed them more. So usually putting more food in that can create more waste. Even though they're eating it, they're producing more waste. So I have noticed in our bigger population tanks, our ammonia does go a little bit higher. So I would say 20% chance you're going to give them a better, cleaner water, and much easier for you to know that they're well fed and clean water.
Not just that, but like 10% is the bare minimum. So if you're home retired and you can do 10% every single week, then sure, stick to it. But say you want to go on vacation and you want to go 9 or 14 days without doing a water change, that 10% wasn't good enough. And you should have done 20, 40% so you can actually go longer than 7 days without worrying about any issues or any parameters getting out of hand. So I highly recommend doing at least 20%, like Shelby said.
And then I just lost it. Abstract said, would the Aqua Char clean up? You have to say this.
Botanicals.
Oh, you actually said it like right this time.
Oh.
I don't like it. You got to say it the other way now. You can't.
I don't say botanicals. I
yes,
say
you do. No,
botanicals.
you say botanicals. Tea coloring. Yes, it actually would start. It wouldn't give you the beautiful coloration of any like dark water tannins that you're trying to do.
It would for only so long.
Yeah.
You know, there are certain woods and stuff that we have out
Like
in the garage
mahogany and-
where
yeah.
the tannins come back if you go 3 weeks without doing water changes.
Yeah.
The Aqua Char maybe works for the first day or two, but then the tannins are like, nah, we're gonna win this fight for sure. So certain things.
I love that coloring though. It's so great, especially for my crayfish. Back to you.
All right, so checking the parameters and everything like that is always a great thing. And then being able to get ahead of the colony, checking to make sure the next day that you don't have any more dead bodies and stuff like that. You can go, 2 or 3 days without doing a water change. The less, water parameter stress and stuff like that, the better. It is always great to test the water. Make sure that the ammonia went down and it didn't go up. If it went up, you might want to think about doing another water change just to try and get ahead of that ammonia problem. Maybe you missed some dead bodies. They're under some plants or something like that you didn't see. So definitely want to take things slow, but to get ahead of the problem, make sure there's no dead bodies to come. But water changes are your best friends. There isn't really any kind of magical powder or anything like that out there that you can add to your aquariums that are going to increase the potential of your shrimp all surviving and making it. There are a few things that you can add into the tank, like Indian almond leaves, that do add in some beneficial bacterial and antifungal properties that are great to add in if you're having losses and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't really recommend anything else into the aquarium. There's some vitamins, the shrimp vitamin A, or I think vitamin A or F, that Brightwell sells. Could be something that you could add into your aquarium at this time if you had those on hand. But that's just like a last minute ditch situation. I believe you can get them on Amazon and have them sent to your house the next day. So it's probably something I would get if I didn't already have it on hand, but I've rarely ever had to use this. So it's not really something I recommend everyone buy for their medicine cabinet, unless you just want to have every possible thing that you could add into your aquarium. But honestly, water changes is going to be the best thing you can possibly do to get ahead of any problem in your aquarium.
This is a little off topic, but I'm going to answer this real quick. Johnny said, I've seen one video of you open a box of ice pods. Would like to know more about them in the ecosystem. I saw your comment earlier. There's not much to know about ice pods. Honestly, there's not that many people keeping them in the hobby. The only thing we do know is that they do not like softer water, so they're really better with neos than they are with caridina. They do like wood and like plants and stuff to eat debris just like you would any shrimp. So it'll be easy to keep in shrimp tanks. They have no problems. They cohabitate really well, even in the smallest tanks. It kind of makes a cool little ecosystem of a tank. Really enjoy them. They're just the ones we have. A variety is really small, so it's really hard to find them sometimes in the tank. But they do boom and they go crazy, and then they're all over the tank, and then they kind of disappear in the substrate. They're pretty much like the exact same as land isopods, where they dig down, they eat the wood and eat little decaying stuff in the tank. So they're really cool. I enjoy them a lot. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but as a full tank of, we have a tank full of snails, isopods, caridina, and neocaridina in one little tank, and they seem to do really awesome all together. And it's pretty cool to see everything work as a team. But anyways, back to you.
So, like I was talking about, if you have a colony that is crashing, to get ahead of it, the water changes is going to be your best thing. You can add in the Indian almond leaves, you can add in some vitamins and stuff like that, but you kind of want to cut back on the feeding. You definitely don't want to add anything that isn't going to be eaten right away, because that can help the ammonia problem where it gets built up and increase the level. It's not really helping the problem; it's making it worse. But with the water changes, you should be able to get ahead of your problem. And then on top of that, let's just say your entire colony got wiped out. Well, I would do a 99% water change in the aquarium. I would also check to make sure that there isn't any, anything that got into the tank. Check behind the filters. Look for quesadillas. One time our kids managed to get a Hot Wheels car stuck behind a sponge filter in the glass, and it was rusting away, and we were starting to see some issues in the aquarium. And then the other thing is you want to think about the possibility of your substrate being exhausted. Test your pH in the morning before the lights come on, and then test the pH at the very end of the light cycle. If you keep your lights on every day for 12 hours, do it at the end of the 12 hours and test to see if the pH is somewhere around the same. If you're, jumping 0.5 or more, chances are your shrimp did not like this, and this could have caused a crash. If your cycle one day decided that it was not cycle, if your soil one day it's at the end of it, it's no longer able to buffer your water, but the water inside the aquarium is just the right parameters, but then you do a 40% water change, and then a few days your pH stables out, and it just takes a couple dead shrimp in the tank to kind of snowball and cause an ammonia spike and then create a crash. So definitely want to check and make sure that your substrate isn't exhausted and that it's still good to go. A lot of the tiger shrimp and stuff like that can handle a little bit more of a pH swing, but the Taiwan bees and the Tai bees and stuff like that, they definitely have issues with the swing in a pH of 0.4 or more.
So Big Shrimpin said, if I'm using 0 TDS, no RO water, sorry, don't have my glasses on, and using salty shrimp remineralizer and getting the correct TDS, would it be safe to assume GH and KH are right, or can you have a correct TDS and GH be off?
So what I like to do is I like to test my GH and the TDS, and then if it's a GH only mineral, then I do not worry about the KH, but that is assuming that you already tested your RO water. If your RO water has 0 KH and you use minerals that have 0 KH, then your end product should have 0 KH. So to me, it sounds completely a waste of time to test KH in that situation. And then with the GH, if your GH comes out and it is 6 or higher with 150 TDS, then I'd never check my GH again after that. But you want to check it to make sure the levels are at least somewhat close, to make sure that your GH kit is right or your TDS kit is right. Because if the numbers are pretty far off, but the ratio should be 20 to 30 TDS for every 1 GH. So you could have a 6 GH with 120 TDS. So it is possible. Sadly, all the test strips and stuff like that, and then the drops and stuff are not so accurate. The test strips even more so, but we were able to mess around with one of those API spinners, Aqua Spins, where they fill up a little disc with water, and then it spins and shines the light onto the different sections, and it tells you the pH, KH, GH, ammonia, phosphate, and then the nitrite and nitrates. In like 30 seconds, it was awesome. Back to you,
To
Shelby.
me, it still so like it took forever. I don't know why. I'm like, all right, I want this to be for this amount of money. I want it to be like lab quality, and it's done in like a minute. Not even like it was. It felt like it was a minute,
It was
and I want it done in
seconds,
like
though.
30 seconds. It was 30
Yeah.
seconds. There's no way.
Yeah.
We got to do it again so I can count it. It felt like it was. I was just like, is it gonna read it? Is it gonna? It shows you. It has a little bar. It's cool.
But another thing I like to do if you have an entire tank crash is I like to put in a little of hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. This would just wipe out anything that was bacterial or anything that would cause further damage in the future. And after that, I would go ahead and cycle the aquarium again all over, let it run for another 30 days, and do regular water changes on it throughout those 30 days. And then that way you can recycle. And then I would throw some tester shrimp. I wouldn't go ahead and throw all 40 of my shrimp back into the aquarium, start up a new colony. I would probably throw in anywhere from 5 to 12 shrimp, make sure they survive for a week or two before I restock the tank moving forward. So that is worst case scenario, having an entire crash, but it does happen. It does not mean that you have to throw away the tank and you're no longer able to use it. For some people, though, it is a risk factor using the old substrate and whatnot. But if you filled the aquarium back up and then ran some parameter tests, if all the parameters are lining up, then chances are there was something going on that was sick with the shrimp, or something happened in the aquarium that you didn't know about. Hopefully you had Aqua Char, and then able to use that in the future and get a hold of the problem. But if you're never able to figure out what exactly caused the problem, then it might be a best case scenario to start over with a brand new tank and brand new substrate and stuff like that. But I've never really had to throw away an aquarium because it was completely done for. We've got a problem tank right here, and it's wiped out 2 different batches of shrimp that we tried in it. I did the whole clearing it out with the H2O2 and whatnot, and it's still just not holding. I'm not sure if the pH is swinging or something like that. That was the last thing I need to check. We still haven't gotten to it yet. I will check that before I add in shrimp. If that is the issue, then I'll probably add in some tiger shrimp, and those shouldn't have any issues. So, aquarium soil and a tank, a filter, a cycled tank, and stuff like that, that's time, effort, and money. So with that, I'd rather find some inhabitants that could survive in the tank rather than tearing down and starting new. You'll be surprised what stardust and raccoons can survive in. If those got wiped out, then you got a problem. You got to find out what that problem was. No more questions? All right.
It's a slow night tonight.
Oh, man. It's because I'm slow. It's because we've had one of the busiest, tiring weeks ever. And that speaks a lot because we've done a lot. We travel a lot. But we had Gary Lane come to town, and I had to pick him up at the airport yesterday. Or not pick him up, drop him off at the airport yesterday at 4 o'clock. Well, 5 o'clock. And
in the morning.
Yeah, in the morning. And then on top of that, we were up very late because my parents are in town from Hawaii. I haven't seen my dad in like 8 years. And then so we were up early this morning getting packages ready so we could hang out with them before the live stream tonight. They do fly out tomorrow, so we can relax and take a little bit of a break before we get ready to pack up and head to South Carolina. So get your rest, Shelby. Because
don't have rest.
Yeah, that is
10 things. Welcome in, Heather.
That is another one-day show, so looking forward to that. And then relaxing on Sunday, doing some fishing, hanging out with some good friends.
When?
Sunday.
Oh. Heather said, "How do you sign up to be a member on your channel?" So if you're on a cell phone, I
You
believe
can just show them.
I don't know how to show.
No,
I don't
it was
even know
right
how
there.
to do it.
It was right here.
It's not there.
Oh, not there. I'm sorry.
Press the wrong
Bear
thing.
with us. It is right there.
No. It's,
Yeah,
oh,
membership.
Okay. So there's a money symbol. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I don't think that's gonna work. It's too bright. See that little money symbol at the bottom right? You should be able to touch that. What are you doing?
I was trying to touch it, but
That was not. You weren't
Yeah,
even
we're
close. And it should be at the bottom. It says membership, unlock member only perks. So, and then Crip also has a link that you can click on. That's way more efficient than what we were just trying to do.
did you send the link to Crypt Keeper so you can do this? All right, cool. They're on top.
I was only on top of it because you said something during the live stream.
But having Gary Lang come to the house and check out the shrimp and everything like that, that was pretty cool. Having somebody, an expert in a different field in the hobby, is definitely cool to hear him talk about how much things are different from what they do and what we do. And like a legend like Gary to say at the end as we drop him off at the airport that he said he would wish he had more time to spend with the shrimp tanks. That kind of like really made me happy because when I first met Gary, I was at the Triple Crown, and we were walking down that ginormous driveway of Rusty Wessel's house from the tour at the Triple Crown, and very briefly got to talk to him. He was talking to LRB. And then I kind of mentioned that I had shrimp, and Gary was like, "Really, just shrimp? Like that many tanks for shrimp? Like, eh." But then I got to talking to him a little bit more at AGA, convinced him to come to our club, and then before he even came down to the club, he was asking our president if he could go to tour our house. So I was like, "Oh yeah, of course." Like I had already thrown that out there. He has just made sure that it was feasible because when I spoke for his club in Missouri, I was not able to go tour his house because he was in Papua New Guinea collecting rainbows. So can't really be mad at him for missing my talk. But I was not going to miss his talk while my parents were down here even. So we left though right after Gary was done speaking. We didn't stay for the auction. We're not going to be home, so we didn't really bring home any rainbows, but Shelby did get some eggs from Gary after all, since him and Lucas ended up talking too much at dinner, and he forgot to give them to Lucas. So they're mine now. Well, they're Shelby's.
Johnny said, "How many different types of shrimp do you house in all?"
We have over 140 different varieties of shrimp. It might be 150. We might be able to break it down into like several different like pattern grouping and coloration. And I could even go into like more if you count like all the weird oddballs in the house, but I don't really like to count having shrimp unless I got at least 5 of them. Once I have more than 5, then I add them to the list. Like I don't put the half-siders on the list of shrimp that we have. Even though we have a half-sider in the house currently, I don't add that to what we have.
And we got. There's another question I'm missing. No, it's not okay. Shrimp and Eight Easy said, "Hey, you guys coming to Aqua Char, Chicago?" Yes, we will be there. Chicago is one of our favorite ones. If they ever change the venue, I will be mad. It's my favorite place. I love it.
Yeah.
And then
we go to all the Aqua Chars. They're all worth our while.
Yeah, it'll be pretty rare if we ever miss one. So, Madaka Madness says, "Best supplement to increase green spot algae in the tanks. I'm trying to keep from overfeeding pellet foods."
The best supplement is more light.
Yeah.
If you want the green algae or the brown algae on the sides of the aquariums, increase the amount of light. The best way to do it is shine light through both sides of the algae on the glass. So if you can get a light on the side of the tank or 2 lights on top of the tank, it really helps a lot with the algae. Only problem is a lot of times you'll start growing some hair algae and other stuff like that. So it's best to actually just let it grow on its own over time. And if you just scrape the front of the aquarium and don't worry about the sides and the back, it'll just do it with time. Almost all of our aquariums have it. There are some on the rack that's over a year old though that are still really clean. So but that's because we have our lights raised and we don't run them for too long. So and we've been keeping up on water changes. So
Big Shrimpin said, so with the API tests, if the KH drops turn yellow, that's 0 because you're looking for it to turn blue to yellow, right? And if it's 0, it'll never be blue.
Yeah.
So
If that's what the instructions say for the colors without looking at the box, then yes, the way you described it is correct.
Yeah, and you just got to make sure you're doing the tests correctly because each one has like specific ways to actually do that and how much you're supposed to, because you're not supposed to shake it. What you're supposed to do is flip it upside down and flip it back. And I've seen a lot of people shake it, and that ruins the test right away.
And so what's the most important tip that you can give people when testing with the test tubes?
Always to rinse with RO water.
If you're not rinsing with the RO water and you're rinsing with tap water, leftover residue from the tap water will be in that test tube and will affect the next test. Mm-hmm. So who just sent 10 gifts? It looks like Jeff Kane. It does.
I can't see. Oh, look at that. It comes up. Like, thank you, YouTuber, StreamYard, whoever finally fixed that. Thank you so much, Jeff Kane, for gifting 10 memberships to the Garden of Eater. So anyone who receives one of these lovely gifts from Jeff Kane, just make sure to email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com and you get your fancy members only sticker, a little holographic sticker, and then you'll get your welcome card with your discount code to our website.
I didn't know there would be a giveaway tonight, but there it is. Jeff Kane just gave away 10 memberships. Thank you, Jeff. Much appreciated. Your support is above and beyond for not just our channel, but many other channels out there. It's always always good to see you. Nice to see you in all the chats. So thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. And then... and if you don't have RO water, I believe you can use distilled water would be the next closest if you don't have that. And if all else fails and you need to test the tank immediately, what I would do is rinse with tap water and then try to take water from your tank and rinse the tube out really well with the tank water. Most tests actually ask you to take your tank water and rinse out the vial first and then use it and test your water. We got time for one more. Can you tell us, shows us any tricks to taking better pictures inside your aquariums, please? The pictures that you both have been posting lately are amazing. Thank you so much, Shady.
Please do me 2 things.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then go get from the drawer that we've been using, the light.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. So, yes, the easiest way to help you and show you better photos, and I think maybe we could do an entire live stream about photography in just a couple months. Not quite yet. We are like putting a few things together. We had Mo Devlin, who was more than kind to not just like help us out while we were here, but also keep in contact and call us up and ask us how we're doing. And then not just ask us how we're doing, but like tell us how nice the shrimp photos have been that have been coming out lately. So this right here is a Godox light. It was not cheap. It was over $100. Mo was using 2 of them when he came over to the house to take photos, and they were incredible at bringing out all of the color and showing all of the details on the shrimp. So what we were noticing with the camera phones. Now, Shelby's photos are a little bit nicer than mine. She is using the DSLR. However, my photos that I've been posting on Instagram, Facebook, and my own personal Facebook, not just the Garden of Eder page, all I've been using is this light and my phone. And it's a Galaxy 23S Ultra. Shelby uses the 22. It's not much of a difference.
21.
Then mine's the 22, and I'm gonna get the 23 here. We'll both get the 23 here in a little bit. But honestly, the light is what is helping out the most. It helps bring out the colors of the shrimp and stops it from being so grainy and out of focus. And then besides that, turn off all the other lights except for this light and the light on top of your tank to stop all the reflection. Do a water change. Make sure the fronts of the glass are scraped beforehand, and let it all settle before you take your photos. That's really the best tips I can give you, but these lights have been helping out a lot. They're bright.
It's time.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So what do you got for me? Hit me.
So I posted it up just a couple of minutes ago.
Oh, I forgot about
it
this
up on the screen.
I will get it.
Try to find it for myself so I don't read it wrong. I've got it on my phone. That'll be quicker.
There you go.
So if I was to add in a couple of male boas into my Galaxy tank, would the genes form an average of the two and just give more snowflakes into the ratio?
All right, so it wouldn't so much be an average, more so as it would just increase the spotting more so on the head. So if you removed all of the non-boa males and then just had the boas as males, it would just be speaking more so about the spotting on the head. Most of the galaxies that are boas aren't generally snowflakes because all the spotting and breeding and everything like that has been focusing just on the headgear, where snowflakes are kind of like just dotting all over. Like they focused on the body, not just the headgear. So with just adding them to a Galaxy tank, snowflakes are also one of the phenotypes that you can get. But really by adding in any higher quality males, whatever the detail is on the male that you're adding in that is higher quality is going to just raise all the percentage of higher grades of the offspring moving forward. So it's definitely going to help out your colony and make them above all an average higher in quality, but it's not really going to average out in the middle. It's more or less just going to throw you ahead of the curve with the breeding of just a average male.
Okay. So it's not like it'll give me more of the spots all over or anything like that, right?
Not. What basically is like with a medium grade and medium grade female, you're going to get like 25% high grades, you're going to get 50% medium grades and then 25% low grade or culls, right? But if you used a high grade male and a medium grade female, then you would get like 30 to 40% higher grades and then, a lower percentage on mediums and then a smaller percentage on low grade and culls. So it's definitely going to help you overall. But in for the most part, adding the males is going to be like your cheapest, fastest way to increase the genetics in the colony. Just because they're like more abundant, you don't need as many, so you could just buy 2 really expensive males, throw them into your average priced female colony, and then your next generation should be better priced. You can get a deal working it out that way. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem, man. Have a nice one.
Thanks.
Thank you, bro. I'm sorry. I'm so out of it this week. But when's the next show you're going to be at? Next year?
Well, I've got a swap meet coming up this weekend up here in New York in Baldwinsville, so I'll be setting up a table there. And then depending on how my back's feeling, I might be taking a trip down to Pennsylvania next month, November 11th. There's a swap meet I might be attending.
Do you know about the show in Connecticut?
I heard about it, yeah.
We'll be going to that one next year. It's in like April 3rd and 4th. So
yeah, it is. I have been looking at that one, so I'm not positive yet, but I would like to mark that on the calendar.
All right, man. Well, we'll see you in 2 weeks for your next question.
All righty. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good
You
night.
too, thanks. Thank you so much, Ed, for the $5 super chat with a little shrimp emoji.
Thank you, Ed. Any chance you found out whether or not you're heading to Aqua Char? I'm dying to know. And if not, we have that opening in December if you want to come down and do your talk.
Dee Dee said the rice fish I got from you two are beautiful, all doing good. I am so glad to hear. I love those things. They're so pretty.
I will say that they were showing a lot more blue when I was trying to catch them when we had somebody come over the house the other day. So I was very impressed with them as they're large and mature. They're not so nice when they're smaller.
Heather said, will shrimp grow and breed better with some natural light, or will a room with no windows and a good light be okay?
So they do not grow that well with the lack of a light. We highly recommend that you kind of look at it as like sunscreen. So with pigment and them blocking out UV rays and stuff like that, the more light you have on the tank, the higher grade the shrimp are going to be. That's why we keep our shrimp outside, and it's one of the most beneficial things you can do for your tanks.
Sam the Man says, do you guys have Spotify channel? It's a pleasure to listen to both of you. He would put you to sleep. I'm just kidding.
Tonight I would. Tonight's probably the most off I've felt in a very long time. Yeah. So
no, we do not have a Spotify channel. That'd be something in the future. That would be really cool, just to sit there and we could probably just talk for 1 hour on a topic. And even if we just take the beginning hour of some of these streams, we could probably make it. I got it.
All right.
And maybe an idea for a live stream. What did I miss? Oh, to talk about photos. That would be a good idea.
Yeah, no, I said like in a couple of months, like Mo just taught us all these tips and tricks, and we've kind of like been putting them to use. And we found out a lot of like tips and tricks just recently, but I'd like to break down things a lot more once you know a little bit of your editing and stuff like that you can talk about it
right.
A little bit
so
better.
I just worked with Mo literally yesterday where I had my shrimp that I had posted, and he went through, took the raw image that I sent him, and he re-edited it for me, and then he sent me a video 5 minutes long on how to do it and what to look for and how to do it. Really interesting. And I was learning a lot in just one little time, but it will take a little bit for us to feel comfortable enough to explain at least an hour's worth of how to take better pictures and just get a little bit more experience for sure. It's one of those things that I've definitely wanted to, and I've always wanted to put my pictures into magazines and things like that. Just have to learn. So, and your next question was, how common are tricolor neos?
So they're not that common, actually. So if you can get 3 colors in a neocaridina that is stable, that is going to be a rarity. There isn't any out there right now that are actually stable. If anybody's showing you pictures of tricolors, most of them come out of like a Skittles tank or a party tank where they throw in all the Neocaridina, and then every now and then you get like a blue dream cull and a red cull that kind of throw a really weird, odd tricolored shrimp. A lot of them will be like black, red, blue in coloration, where it's not really black. It's just a deep, deep, deep dark red that's so red it's black, or so blue it's black. I would love to see like a yellow, blue, or yellow, black, and red shrimp. Like that would be like insane, but there just isn't any out there. If you have a shrimp with 3 different colors, though, I'd love to hear what 3 colors they are. But I probably hit the nail on the head where I mentioned it's like a Skittles tank where you don't have a ton of shrimp in there or anything going on. So, all right, Richard said, Shelby and Grant, are you planning on swinging by on the way to the expo or after? I'll be completely honest, I haven't thought about it yet.
We don't have time.
I don't think we have time on the way. I don't know what time we will be leaving on Sunday, if we'll have any way. Are you going to the Aqua Expo? Because if you're going, we might not stop by. I've made it like a plan for my birthday for us to go down to South Florida. And I'd probably swing by your place before or after during that trip for sure.
Yeah, this is funny. Grant, maybe you should try rainbow fish tank to get your feet wet. Pygmy rainbow fish is the smallest of all, but hard to get. If Gary Lang was to hook you up, it's money in the bank. So we have several rainbow fish tanks already. We just don't really talk about the fish that we keep, but we used to have. I don't think we have any of the Pracox online right now.
No, somebody just
They're
asked if we
more of
were
our
bringing
pets.
those to the Southern Expo.
No,
And
they're fine.
these ones we've raised to full age. They're with the discus.
They're with breeding size.
I'm not
right
going to
now,
take them
too.
out. But we also have
Rainbows.
the Madagascar
I don't think-
rainbows. You're not going to be able
Yeah,
to
they're
see
up there. You
those.
can see them.
Okay, they're
You
up there.
can somewhat see them.
We
they're all the way up
also
there.
have some Clear Creek rainbows and a bunch of the different pseudomagills. So
Yeah, we just don't talk about our fish as often as we do. We're just now dipping our toes into fish. So, and when we get my room finished, there will be a lot more fish in there, a little bit more room to finally breed them. So we just really don't talk about them until we start breeding them and get them available, because it just kind of gets people's hopes up if we don't have them available. And I just put 2 and 2 together that we'll see SC Catapultas this weekend. Obviously, SC South Carolina. So excited to see you again.
yeah. Any update on those shrimp? You still got them? Have they bred yet? I forgot what name they even had to them, but I remember their looks.
They were really cool, yeah. Abstract said, I heard that distilled water you buy has to have chlorine in it in order to sell it. Yeah, I would always just use dechlorinator then, just to double check.
Yeah, still have to use the prime.
Yeah.
Or while you're mixing it the night beforehand, it will have a chance to degas. How much it degasses, I'm not sure.
Sorry, I'm really behind in chat now because I had to get up.
It's all right to be behind in chat. It's just not okay to be caught up in chat and nothing to talk about. So this is better than nothing. You can't just like laugh and not like bring it up.
It was Big Shrimpin said that he's a high grade male. Wink, wink, ladies. That's what there should be a shirt that says that. Chris, that'd be funny. Oh, thank you so much, Vibes, to the $1.99 super chat. I don't know why they're not coming up here now. It says yellow shrimp I got from y'all are still alive.
So that just means you haven't fed them to the frontosa yet, right?
So Nate said, very cool. Can I carpool to Connecticut with you, Tim, next year to see you, Shelby, and Grant? LOL. You'll be driving right by. I know we won't have room, but Tim might.
Yeah, they
never
said
have.
something
Well, it is
about
a
an
talk.
aquarium, so we should bring the kids.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely not have room. If it's a talk, usually we try to bring the kids with us to especially a new area. And if they have an aquarium,
and it's not just
sold.
a talk. We'll have a booth too.
What? A booth?
Yeah, it's a show.
Oh.
And we're both talking, so.
Well, who's gonna watch the booth? Welcome in, Dr. Anthony.
We'll have to talk at different times and then shut down the booth when we both talk at the same time.
Johnny says, do you know if Gary Ling sells his rainbow fish to the public looking for not with the rainbow fish. Pygmy rainbow fish. It's possible to get this species.
I would contact him on Facebook and see where he's at, but I honestly don't know how Gary does or trades or ships or what with most of his stuff. I do know he's retired and he just basically breeds and sells the rainbow fish to fund his future collecting trips in Australia and stuff like that. So I just don't know what he also pulls out, and I don't think he has fish very often. But
Jeff says Grant hides Shelby's fish. Ashley said, gonna try and make it to the expo next weekend. Have y'all been before? Probably can go only one day. The South Carolina one, that's this weekend, and it's only Saturday from 10 to 4. So it is only one day and a very short burst, and we have not been there before. If you're talking about that one, if you're talking about the Aquatic Expo, which is all the way down in South Florida, we've been there several times now. Absolutely love it. Definitely worth it. You get a lot of breeders that actually breed their own fish. It's pretty cool. Shelby, how are the Amazon shrimp doing? There's a few in there, not as big and populated, so there's probably something that we got to do different for their tank that we just don't know how to do. So, I mean, they're there, they're eating, but not great. Crip said, Grant, you say you want to see a blue and yellow shrimp. I've seen some orange eye blue steels that have a yellowish gold back half instead of white.
Yeah, so I mean, I want to see like some like blue and yellow neos though. You know what I mean? I've had some like yellow and blue steels. Gotta answer questions for a minute.
Yeah. There's not really any questions, so I'll just stare into the camera until someone feels uncomfortable enough to ask a question.
Just talk about the photography.
I thought you already said enough about that. I'm still trying to catch up on reading. I'm so sorry. So SC Catahoula says, yeah, the first round of shrimp babies are almost full size. They were from flowers. Amazing. That's what one of my tanks of the Pintos is from flowers, which makes me super happy because they are also focused on that beautiful, so like the pink steels, like that pinkish coloration. So they've got that coloration on the shrimp, which I was trying to do with my Pintos, but then I ended up getting way more coals than I was getting quality. So now I had to go the opposite direction. And once I get those babies to grow up that you so graciously helped me out with, when that starts to go, then I'll focus on the coloration that flowers does. Luke said, maybe try softer water. Sorry about the lighting. It's making me look real weird. Maybe try softer water for the Amazon shrimp. They are in super soft water. They're in Caridina parameters. We've even thrown catappa leaves in there. It's just, they just don't seem to be breeding. So we might not have enough like female to male ratio. Not really sure what's going on with them. They're eating well. just no breeding. So I don't know if they're one of those ones that happen to go into like some sort of brackish water too. We don't really know. I don't know where they're collected from. Probably should talk to Dr. Anthony about that. Ashley said, yeah, I meant the one in Coral Springs. I'll be in Kissimmee. So wanted to drive down for a day. It is a great show. It is really worth it. I enjoy the area. The people are really great and great show, honestly. It's a small venue, but it's got a lot of, they pack a lot of stuff in there. I think they actually got more people. Abstract said, I sent a picture of it to your IG. I'll check that in a minute. Ashley said, wish I could make it to South Carolina show, though. Been seeing a lot of posts about it. Looks fun. Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a fast, fun-packed show. I'm glad it's only one day, so I get stressed out because of the Aqua Expo being the next weekend, which we prepare a little bit more for, and then real big show. So building up. We'll see how it does. So I'm excited. Hopefully it'll do good for us so that we can go back next year since it's not too far away from us. Gabriel said, Shelby, what kind of shrimp would you recommend for beginner shrimp keepers? It's always Neocaridina. I tend to lean more towards red cherries. Any of the yellows and the blues, all of them are pretty good. You don't have to cull them as much. And you can start getting better quality of shrimp. Sorry, getting a little nervous now. This light is bothering me. I'm so sorry. He's just going to have to climb over. And those three are really good. You could do any of the Neos, though. All of them will do better. I just feel like oranges are a lot harder because you have to cull a lot more. You could do Black Rose and let them go crazy and you get all different types and then eventually start splitting them off because Black Rose can throw Bloody Marys, Blue Diamonds, Carbon Rillies. I've seen greens and oranges come out of them. Obviously, it takes a while for them to really populate and get all those colors, but it's still fun. One of my favorite shrimps. And I don't care about the brown. Brown is cool to me. It's like little teddy bears in your tank. But yeah, all of those are super easy and they take a wide variety of parameters. We've plopped and dropped them in from, say like we have them in 300 TDS here and then go to the state fair and they're almost to 800 TDS and they, no problem, came home buried and we had babies. So you'd be surprised how wonderful that is. Chiller Method said, I accidentally crossed Snowballs and Blue Dreams, which has made a bunch of red riding hoods. If I give them a tank and cull heavily, can the red riding hoods breed stably? It does take a while for them to breed stable, but they would as long as you keep. You'll always have a few babies that will probably come out red or blue, possibly some wilds. But, I mean, you could get them pretty true as long as you keep up on it. But it takes a while. When thinking about making new strains of shrimp and making a line stable, it does take several years to do that. Like where we could have, like the beautiful green Caridina that Grant has. Like we have several of them, but we wouldn't call them anything or have a stable line of them because there's just so many culls that come out of them and it's not consistent. There is quite a bit, but it's not consistent. It just takes years for things like that. Luckily with Neocaridina, it is faster than Caridina. So you could get it. You're just still going to get some shrimp once in a while that come for that. I repeated, I'm so sorry. Sharkfin says, finally Shelby take over. It takes me a little bit to get comfortable. I'm just so used to just letting him talk so I don't have to.
Leave.
No.
It's fine.
Ashley said, I found several babies from the orange Neos I got from you guys more every day, doing something right. It's very exciting. So glad to hear. I love the orange. They're just a little bit more work, but they are more rewarding, that's for sure. Especially when you start working on the coloration. I've got several tubs outside that I've been working on a lot better, and they are getting so much brighter of an orange, and it's just exciting to see.
Somebody ordered 70 orange Neo culls And Shelby's like, take the culls off the website. I don't have any more. They're taking all my nice ones. So
Sharkfin says, congrats, Shelby, on skate contest.
Keystone
KFC.
Clash.
I should know that. That took me way too long. Thank you so much. I actually have that tank still going. And actually, we made room and moved tanks around on the counters to put it there. I'll probably do another video like I did a long time ago of like switching it up. So I'm going to be cleaning it up and actually redoing the substrate, putting a couple different plants in it, and putting some livestock in it because it'll be fully cycled. And if you're at Daytona Aquashella, go check out the Carib Sea booth and you'll see the tank. So it'll be all redone. And if you can't make it, there will be a video after it, probably on my page and probably pictures on Carib Seas. And Luke said, assuming Doc collected them in Wheato, in Quitos. There isn't that close to the ocean. I wonder if you want to drop the TDS way more. Maybe. Because it does probably rains a lot or floods out. The Machiobranchium shrimp from Peru.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty low TDS, but I'm just, maybe drop it a little bit with a water change slowly. But, yeah, we'll have to try something. Ashley said, any culling tips for the oranges? I would you don't want to pull them too early because oranges can color up quite a bit. Like their babies look pretty pale. They almost look like a peachy color. But if they're clear, get them out of there. They are definitely not. But like a peachy color, I would wait till they're a little above juvenile, like, right when they're about to be able to reproduce. I'm so sorry. I'm thrown off now. Any culling tips? You threw me all off. And if they're, oh my gosh, I can't even speak anymore. I'm so mad. I really don't know what I was talking about. Like, I understand the question and I understand what I was saying, but I cannot pick up.
So you don't want to cull too early, but at the same time, you kind of want to cull like right around 1 centimeter. You'll know
right
if it's
when
a
they're
stud
juveniles.
or a dud. But Shelby has put in the work, and like we have pumpkin shrimp, or like really nice orange shrimp. So if somebody was looking for a like Halloween decorative themed tank for the holidays or something like that, now's the time for sure because they are in peak pumpkin season. But just remove all the ugly ones, especially the males.
Scuba said, my blue steel colony exploded. Yes, that is freaking awesome. That means you're doing something right. Which I know when you breed those cichlids, you do something right there. So it's only a matter of time if you could get the shrimp breeding. Nick said, I'm looking into getting some more shrimp from you guys, but I'm curious if y'all think I should wait till it's cooler out before I get some. It's in the 80s, 90s here in Arizona this month. That's perfect temperatures. That's what it's no problem.
It honestly does not matter. As long as you're going to be home and the shrimp are going to sit out on the porch, it's fine.
Welcome in Thorn Trap and said that awesome co-op shirt. I don't know if anyone's got our costumes tonight. I'm really curious. You got to sit up straight. I don't know if anyone's got the scary costumes going on tonight, but we had to one up last week. Had to be a little bit scarier this week,
Shelby's idea.
Oh, I laughed way too loud in that microphone. I am so sorry for anyone that had their volume up. I apologize. But that is up on the questions.
Oh,
it's a slow night. Yeah. It's a slow night. I think we're all struggling tonight.
I'm off, so I understand. People don't want to watch me or ask me questions. You seem to be doing better just yourself. I could leave.
No.
No? You
No.
good?
I mean, I'm able to speak without someone interrupting me.
Sorry.
Nick said, awesome. I'll be making an order soon then. Dee Dee says, I have that same costume, Shelby. I don't know if anyone's getting it, though. I don't know if it's going together, though. It's a really, it's a far out there one. But
the first person that gets it, we'll send them some pumpkin shrimp. How about that?
What pumpkin shrimp?
You don't have any pumpkin shrimp?
Oh, maybe if I definitely get into it, it'd be, yeah. I just don't like letting go of my oranges. I'm working so hard on them. That'd be funny.
Doesn't mean anybody's going to get it, so.
Yeah. I think there's some people that have the same sense of humor. Yeah. See how the cool is. We can just bring you some orange shrimp.
No, Jeff Kane got it first.
Oh, yep. Jeff Kane got it. Yeah. So just email us. We'll send you some pumpkin shrimp. Water changes. That's scary. We should have just wore a shirt that said water and I put one that says changes. That is honestly scary. It's traumatic.
I think Shelby said it the other day is like the worst part of adding more tanks is having to do more water changes.
I haven't posted that yet. Why are you giving that up?
I'm sorry.
I haven't found the right time for that. Dee Dee said, all the new pretty shrimp you have been posting, will they be available to purchase soon? Which one?
Yeah, it really depends on what kind of shrimp because a lot of them are already available on the website. I think I posted Mizuras today and some Galaxy Pintos. What are you laughing at?
Dee Dee's comment. I didn't even get oh, she's just so funny. I didn't even get that one. That one's hilarious. You sure? That one's great, Dee Dee. That's hilarious. Were you finishing
I'm gonna crush you first, and then you do.
Oh my goodness. It's too good. Did you finish this question? Oh yeah, which one did
I started
you want?
talking about them. So
we posted way too many photos lately, so
but,
the Hummel I wish we put on the website, but we're too greedy with those. We do need to split them into other tanks and start breeding them. And as soon as we do that, we could probably put those on the website. They're just very rare in the hobby still, so it's like one of those things. So just everyone who has
Luke
them
gets the first Hummels. So,
yeah.
Yeah, looking at the shrimp, we won't have Galaxies anytime soon, or Mizuras. Maybe Mizuras. I could probably sell some Shadow Mizuras. The green Caradina won't be available anytime soon, but I do have some Fancy Black Tigers available. I won't be selling any of the Orange Eye Blue Steels anytime soon. They're like one of my favorite shrimp, so
you have several tanks.
I want those for myself. The blue and yellow skunks are still a project line, and then more Galaxies. The green emeralds, they are on the website. They're very few and far between, though. So if that's a shrimp that you want, I would order those soon before they are sold out.
Yeah. Oh, there's that tricolor shrimp. That's more of an orange, really.
Yeah, it's just it needs more. It needs more coloration than that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? No more questions?
Mm-hmm.
What do you say? You want to end it early, or? I just think we're out of it. We need some sleep. We need some rest.
I'm not really sure what to talk about at this point.
We already ran through everything.
So if you got any questions real quick, ask them before we sign off. But give me 1 second. Ashley asked, are you planning to bring shirts to Aquashella? We do bring a few select. I think I saw your message. It was right before the live stream, so I will get right back to you after this. Just let me know what size so I can make sure I put one aside for you. We don't have many left. Whatever we have left is what we have left. We will be getting rid of that logo, and those t-shirts will not be coming back. Well, maybe we might even bring it back in 5 years or something. It'd be cool, bring out all the old styles. But no, we will not.
No.
Yes, we will.
Or
Yes, we will be bringing shirts. Just message me the size and I'll bring it. Heather said, I might have missed it. Do Santa Caridina usually breed male?
For whatever reason, I get a lot of extremes. Santas are included in that that end up to be male. And I even thought it like with the Red King Kongs that I never got a Red King Kong extreme female. But recently I did. So I don't know if it's just coincidence, but for me, it has happened twice now where I culled all the shrimp that were not Santas and I ended up with just males. So I don't know if that's just a coincidence or other people also get that, but you wouldn't. There shouldn't really be any reason for that, you know. So I'm not sure on that.
Thorns Trap said, are wonder shells harmful for shrimp? So the only reason you would ever, I had to look these up and see what they were, but the only reason you would actually add this is if your water was too soft for Neocaridina and you wanted to do Neos instead, but it's like soft as can be because it adds hardness to the water. It does have minerals, which is good, but like I would never add one of these into a Caridina tank. That would probably be really bad for it. If it was a small piece, probably not. But there's honestly no reason to add this. Just like we say the snake oil in the hobby, that would probably be one of them, where you could just feed a mineral food for your shrimp. Unless you were to put that in the tank for other items like say crayfish or something in the tank, then it probably wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, it's not something that's needed. You could avoid it with no problem, and it's not really going to add a lot of benefit. The only reason why I would add it to an aquarium is if you had a ton of snails that were having like calcium deficiency issues, where their shells were, showing issues of melting and stuff.
And Nate says scales giveaway this week.
No, not this week. But next week it is still up for grabs. I do not have anyone that is ringing a bell right now on the best comment of the week. So every 2 weeks we pick out the best comments left on the channel. Not part of chat. You do have to comment down below. It can be a suggestion on what kind of live stream we do, or just like a question inside the actual video, like if we missed something on the topic or something like that. So or it could just be how much you like that video, something like that.
Abstract said, Grant, will you get shrimp stick-on tattoos? That'd be funny.
Maybe one day, but I don't have any plans, or Shelby doesn't have any plans for that anytime soon.
No, we're struggling to get our logo done right now, and it's kind of getting a little stressful right now. And then stickers and other merch. I plan on doing something probably useful for a lot of the things, or cool, but yeah, maybe fun for the shows. That would be cute for like some of the kids, especially when we do Aqua Char. That would be pretty cool. Dee Dee says, if one of the blue Dream Neos and blue Aurora Tigers in a tank, what is the easiest way to tell them apart? Polka dots. Blue Aurora Tigers will have spots. If you have a cull of a Neo, you could have spotting, but it's definitely different. You'll have full blue on the Aurora Tigers, where Neos will have kind of clear coloration with the spotting, and it'll be darker. If you see Grant's picture on, where did you post that, Instagram?
Yeah.
The Aurora Tiger. I'll pull it up. This will actually make it a little bit easier. See, yeah, I don't think I have a cull of a blue, though. That's full coloration on that. Where if you have typically a blue Neo, red eyes. They also have like a red coloration to their eyes. I don't know if that showed up, but that helps a lot to know that. The Neos never have that coloration to their eyes, so a little bit easier. Use the phone if you can't see very well. We went to Cracker Barrel today, and they had these really fancy magnifying, like it was a silver plated handle. It was kind of heavy, old fashioned magnifying glass. And I was like, we need to get one of these for all the people that come over, because even I have bad eyesight and I'm only going to get worse with age. And I'm like, some of the people who come in, like they can't see, you know? And I don't think my parents have that bad of vision, and yet they can't see their shrimp sometimes. So I thought it would be funny.
So Crypt Keeper sent me a message that Chiller Method sent. He said, I accidentally crossed Snowballs and Blue Dream, which has made a bunch of Red Riding Hoods. If I give them a
I already
tank...
talked about that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't here for that.
All right.
Okay, I didn't know.
Vibes and $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much. That's Frontosas. Love Carradina the best. They probably would, honestly. Allie said, yep, it's 1 week now since I got my shrimps from you guys, and they're doing so well. So glad to hear. That came out sarcastic. I am very sorry for that. That sounded really sarcastic out of my mouth. I did not mean it that way. The Crib says, what shrimp are still on Grant's bucket list?
Currently, right now, if I could go to the store and buy any shrimp that I'd want, I would go and get some Harlequin Sulawesi shrimp. Those, I think, are at the top of my list. Some green tiger, not green tiger, sorry. Galaxy tiger, the wild type that are actually green with dots, not the ones that come from Nanashi, same pattern and stuff like that. I also want the leopard tigers. Those are really cool. I'd like to get those back again. And then the blue beak Paracaridina.
Rosie said, hello all. My tangerine tigers I have from you are beautiful and multiply like crazy. Thank you. So glad to hear. I miss all my tangerine tigers. It actually sucks to catch them and send them away. I'm like, they're part of the family. So I'm so glad to hear. Tangerine tigers do breed like rabbits, and they are the coolest to me. I enjoy them so much. I'm glad to hear that they're doing well.
We should breed a line of Neocaridina wild type and call them rabbit neos because they breed like rabbits.
Abstract said, Grant, Shelby's got this. Chill and look pretty on the couch. Crip said, laugh a lot. I said, Shelby already answered the question. I just sent it to you because you missed it. Thought the cross was interesting to get a Red Riding Hood from. Oh. He probably explained that in the message and you just read past it.
I saw the message.
Oh.
I thought it was an emergency of a message that we missed. Next time, send photo, then context. Then I'll read the context and then look at the photo.
Will you though?
Yeah.
I don't think so. He'll just read the photo and then be like, oh, I didn't read the context.
No, because I'll think he sent the photo and then he's like, no, Shelby got it. And I'll be like, oh, all right, we're good. See? That's how things work in my mind.
All right. All right. You ready?
I was told to just sit back and then let you run the rest of the stream, but I was going to talk about all of the hard work that you and your dad did this week in the garage. Someone was putting away Christmas decorations like they do every year, and they fumbled and something happened and fell through the ceiling and put a hole in the ceiling. It was a little bit of an issue. So Shelby and her dad cut out the hole, replaced the hole, which was one of the steps that needed to get done.
Let's rephrase that. So Shelby really tried really hard to use Dad's awesome tool to cut the ceiling out, which I did pretty okay, but my dad had to definitely fix some spots. I tried.
But they repaired the hole, which was causing some draft issues with the ceiling and making the garage maybe a little bit warmer than it should have been.
Way hotter.
And then it'll probably make it colder than it should be during the winter time, which is something we needed to get ahead of. So Shelby got that done. It it was also something that needed to be done in order for us to start moving around certain racks in the garage so we can set up our quarantine systems for our wild caught fish. Jaden's room was like the first thing that had to get done, and then everything else around the house we can kind of like put and piece and part together as we have time for. And the garage is like the last of all the priorities. But as Shelby mentioned, and it's getting a little bit cooler outside, we'll be wanting to work a little bit more in the garage and getting that ready so that way we can start getting flagfish, pygmy, sunfish, killies. Flagfish is a killie, but like even stuff from the Everglades, like the peacock eels, Oscars, jewel cichlids, all sorts of little cool things that we could possibly get. So want to make sure that we have proper rack setups and everything that isn't going to affect stuff and fish that we have inside our house. And the garage is like the best place to do that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Alpha TV, for the $4 super sticker. Thank you. Appreciate it. You forgot to mention that I also repainted the wall that the new rack is going to be going on next. Redid the baseboard.
You forgot to mention that I patched the wall. Gosh.
You did a terrible patch job. Just kidding. It looks great. It was really good. It was a big hole. No, it was really good. You can't even see it. Your parents didn't even say anything. That means that you did a good job.
Touche.
Yeah. They could have said, whoa, what was that? You know, like my original patch job of the gigantic hole that was in Jaden's or Layla's room.
That was bad. Yeah. That had to be totally redone.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I've never done it before, and it was a gigantic hole. It was not easy. Okay. It was not a 2 by 2 inch spot. That was way dramatic. How that is not that small.
It was 10 by 10. But yes, the wall is done. The wall is prepped, and that we are all ready. So that way we can go ahead. You want to look what it is?
Thank you so much for $1 super chat again, Alpha TV. Thank you, appreciate it so much.
But we can build that rack now. So
Ashley said, any tips and tricks on quarantining and for medicating wild caught fish? So you definitely want to have their own tank, obviously a good cycled tank. And as far as medication, we usually do aquarium salt. That has helped a lot with quarantining. I do have least Achilles fish already breeding in there. Still have not got any breeding of any other fish like the flagfish yet, but that is the next step. A lot to do with the wild caught fish is not just going to be as if we want to provide wild caught fish for some of our customers, is that I want to breed and, there's a word, conserve the fish. So not just be able to take them out of the wild. So it is also for breeding, which will come down the road, and we'll have more tips and tricks on how to take care and do that the more we actually do. But as we say before, this is something we're pretty fairly new to, and we have had success with some of them, at least keeping them alive. The challenging part for any wild caught fish is not keeping it alive, it's breeding it. I guess it's keeping them alive too. That's sometimes the first challenge. That is second scary.
Challenge is.
But you just want to make sure that you keep up on them every single day, because sometimes you will have where they do not make it. It's too much for them, and especially you want to get them the right size. Certain fish do better, just like our shrimp. They do better smaller. Some don't. So you got to be careful. It really takes a lot of knowing what you're doing to get used to something like that. You got to have the correct license to do this as well. So it's something you got to be really careful with. So.
And also, a lot of it is care that you can do for the actual fish itself after it was caught. So like just getting it into a bucket that has an aerator or actual fresh oxygen to it at all times is going to help the life of that fish. If you can swap out the water right before you leave, if you can put them in separate containers and catch them a lot easier. Some of the fish just do not like to be taken out of water at all. So you got to catch them in the net and then use the container to catch them out of the net in the water so they don't get taken out, so their scales don't get roughed up. And then on top of that, just making sure they don't stay in the heat in the car or anything like that, keeping them at a good, stable, constant temperature that's relatively average to what you're keeping in the aquariums themselves.
Bluefin killies fish, number one possum of the fish world. It will get into a container and act like it's dead. It's so stressful. But anyways, Johnny said, Grant, I ordered mixed red pinto and orange Neo coal babies. Orange Neo grow faster than my red pinto shrimp, for sure. Neos always seem to grow faster.
Yep, they do.
And thank you so much, Vibes Aquatic, for $1.99 super chat. Said, I heard Aqua Char Chicago is the best with me not there. Absolutely nothing to do with you. They just have a really good Starbucks. Venue. I like the venue. There's always an Indian wedding going on, and it smells like heaven in there. They always got something like last year, it wasn't last year, it was the year before. They had Stranger Things Con was right next door, so it was pretty cool to see all these kids dressed up as all the Stranger Things characters. So it's always something interesting there, and the hotel is the nicest one we stay at. It's always super clean. It's always super fancy.
The Hilton
and the elevators
in Dallas
are cool.
is nice, but the expo isn't in the hotel.
Yeah.
You have to drive or walk through sketchy homeless people. There's not like there isn't a better venue out there that we've been to besides Gaylord Palms. And Gaylord Palms is still doesn't have the food and everything else that the Renaissance in Schaumburg does. So the Renaissance is more of I could live in that hotel, you know what I mean, and be happy and.
But to add to this,
worry about things.
So Chicago is just more we know actually how to get around the town of Chicago and know where to go to eat. Because not only has he had family there, but we used to go to Aquatic Experience before Aquachella, and we used to work there at a booth. And so we've just been there several times. I've been there with the kids several times. I've been to every park around that area. So it's just kind of your first favorite place that you go to that you just seem to enjoy every time you go back. So, and it's a fancy part of Chicago. So Abstract said, when you make the stands, do you use a clear finish over the black paint? No, the black paint is the finish. It is a oil-based paint. So it's the most waterproof. It is the best paint I've ever had. It's just a pain in the butt to paint with. Do not get it on anything because it ain't coming off. And you got to use a lot of acid. Well, I did get it all over myself. I think that's in one of the videos, isn't it? It's just straight down my leg. But it is not fun to get off. So it is something crazy to work with, but it gives it that really nice glossy finish.
You're better off just accepting that it's there and letting Father Time just peel it away. If you just try and rub it off and try and wash it off, you're going to waste so much water. It took me a minute. Thank you so much, Night Owl Aquatics, for the $5 super chat that says, I scream fun. And I'm literally what does he really want to, is it for him to just scream at us, or is it for us to scream? And I'm ice cream. We've spent a lot of money in ice cream because his parents have no Papa Clydes where they're from, and we definitely want to make sure that they get as much as they possibly could while they were here, because it is really great and they missed it so much too. Yeah, we went out 3 times with them, and then they took the kids out one time without us, and then one of the other nights we were at a wedding at a different venue far away that we couldn't get Papa Clydes, and I think they got Papa Clydes every single night that they possibly could while they were here. So
thank you, Night Owl.
The ice cream's that good. But thank you, Night Owl. Appreciate that. We'll be going back. And you know what I noticed is they didn't have the same staff any times that we went.
Right.
So they have a lot of people working at that ice cream store. So we didn't look crazy going in ice cream that consistently.
And what was I gonna say? I already forgot. Hello, Benjamin Peters, and goodbye. Thank you for the like. Crip said, when is Shelby going to start streaming about fish? maybe when I quit my job, I still need to have more knowledge about fish. I know some, and I've bred a lot of fish, that's for sure, but I'm still working on Achilles fish and getting them to breed properly. And until I can start doing that, until my fish room is set up, I'll probably stream about setting up my fish room and, how it grows and the progress and stuff like that. But it'll probably be just a part of this channel. There's no reason to start my own. But it would be nice to stream about fish, maybe bringing on people that are knowledgeable about it and be able to discuss back and forth about, what could I do better and things like that. It might not necessarily be me streaming, but maybe other people to come on and help.
It should be like once a month, Shelby gets her own stream and talks nothing about fish. And then the rest of the months we do general discussion, shrimp, aquascaping, plants, and stuff like that. But guarantee you, once the baby brine shrimp start flowing, we'll get Shelby speaking on it.
Yeah. I just need to focus. I need to be able to be away from my job and not have to worry about coming back to it at all. It still stresses me out, even though I don't have to work as much. It's still like, that feeling, but we're almost there. Scuba Steve, is that the one with the TV in the bathroom mirrors? I believe that is. Yeah. It is cool. The first time we went.
That's the Renaissance in Schaumburg.
Yeah.
What Steve is talking about.
The first time we went, it absolutely made me feel broke. I've never felt more poor in my life, that I was just so fascinated. And this is just a normal room where like people have penthouses here. And I'm just like, this is crazy. This is absolutely phenomenal. And like, it just blew my mind,
And then my worst nightmare came true. Layla spilt a bunch of chocolate milk all over the white rugs. So we were like panicking, trying to clean that up because we don't want to see what that kind of bill was going to be. But it all worked out. Shelby got it all out.
Yeah, it was very stressful. Lady R said, I would love to get some killies from you one day, Shelby. I'm hoping that that's the case. I've had some breed, but I'm just not like successfully keeping them breeding because I'm not able to move them anywhere. So it's a lot of things that we're not taking the mops out and putting them somewhere. And I also can't ever see killies fish eggs. Like they got to be breeding, and I'm blind as a bat with that. Magnifying glass would have come in handy for me for my killifish breeding. Ashley said you should definitely stop by Dreamette in Jacksonville, I'm assuming. Old ice cream shop, and it's so good. It's got that old-timey ice cream parlor vibes and taste. Was my childhood place to go. Nice.
So there's like 3 people in Jacksonville that we need to make a stop and go up there and visit them now. So it might be a stop for another day.
Yep. Crib said, Shelby, aside from killies, are you planning on other breeding projects? So I'm actually been focusing a little bit more on my Gadeids right now. I absolutely love them. Their live bears are so much easier. I do.
Bettas?
Yes. So betta fish. I still can't pronounce it right. It always sounds so weird when it comes out.
Gary was so happy that I said bettas, though. He's like, "Oh, this guy's legit."
So I do have a lot of beta edithaes. I do have beta chinoides, and those aren't breeding yet because they're not old enough. And I think that they might need more live food than the edithaes seem to be a little bit easier. And then I have a new species in the garage, which is astronomically a long name, and I can't remember them like I can remember the other 2. So they're pretty cool, but they're going to be a very large. Oh, Antica butata. They're a huge beta fish, so they're going to be the largest one that I keep. Did not mean to end up with the big ones, but I do like carrot species a lot, and I do want to focus on that. That's going to be probably where I'm going to start heading. I have several different Danios and things like that I just want to be able to breed, and then I will just sell them off and probably not breed them again. I just want to be able to, well, this is how you do this kind of thing, and focus more on carrot species, the ones that really do need someone to focus on them in the hobby. You can all have all Danios come from places, they're not critically endangered right now. So I want to focus on some of those and the wild fish. That also excites me a lot, to be able to get the wild fish to breed. I feel like I've been talking for a really long time, so I'm going to skip on to the next question. Shelby, would you like to? I would love to hear your fish talks. Been looking into setting up a breeding stand in my 700 square foot apartment. So like our room is real small, so it'll show you how much you can fit into one area, and the craziness that we're thinking for this room. And I kind of want to lay it out exactly, as a breeding style, which is going to be a little bit different than normal. Especially for ours with the 10 gallons, which 10 gallons are okay, but I do need 20 gallons for some of my Godaids, and especially bigger pairs, bigger wild betta fish. So I got to have some of those bigger tanks. It's going to be exciting. And I do have a couple fish talks at some of these conventions coming up. I know those will be announced soon. Those will be more geared towards wild fish collecting and breeding, and how to take care of them and things like that. So hopefully you'll have a chance to make it maybe to the Keystone Clash next year. And then me and Grant will have our talks that we will be doing jointly together on how we take care and maintenance the tanks in the home, which most likely in some of that will be partially my fish and what I do for trips and things like that. Big Shrimpin said the tequila Godaids you gave me are getting big. I'm really excited about them. So glad to hear. You gave me the trout Godaid. That one is in there. I don't know how it's doing because the male is gigantic. I think she's still alive. I just don't know if she's going to be anywhere near breeding size. Didn't realize how big the male was compared to her. So, but I love her. She's so cute. And SC Catahoula said, I just sent a picture of the shrimp to Grant on Facebook.
I just saw them.
Oh, okay.
They're looking really nice, man. You did a really good job.
Ooh.
For someone that was a beginner, you probably revived the shrimp, or not revived, but like, I don't know, raised up a shrimp that isn't in the United States yet. So congrats, man.
Lady R said, love the fact that you're caring for other species of bettas besides splendids. What kind of Danios are you breeding? I'm really looking for some high quality zebras. I did just get some zebras, but I have not planned on breeding those. I had some gold ring. Oh, so those are Danios. Zebra. That's Danios. Zebra Danios. Yeah. I had those.
We had some short fin and long fin, and then I know we had another kind of Danio.
I know.
I can't think of it for the life of me.
Gold ring Danios. I just think they're just plain Danios in the bedroom. They're like pink, giant Danios. That's what we have right now. So I just probably gonna get rid of the zebra Danios at one point, and they're really healthy. So. I don't know what I'm doing with those yet. I just got those from the Keystone Clash, and they look phenomenal. They're actually in Jason's video from Primetime Aquatics of the Keystone Clash. They are just so beautiful. Crip says, that sounds super exciting, Shelby. Please keep us posted on all those projects. Would love to see videos or stream topics sharing your experiences of what you did and didn't work for breeding each. Thank you. Yeah, I've already had some struggles. I already started a video on breeding annual Achilles fish, and I had a mess of a time with the peat moss and the tank. And I'll probably, because it was a mess, I'll probably include that in a successful video of what I did wrong and what you should not do. And realize, like, especially not gut loading your fish. They definitely like live foods to be able to be breeding, to get them more active. And peat can become a mess very fast and not going to be good for you. Scuba Steve said, did you bring your Aquascape tank home, and how did it hold up? It is doing really good, and it is going to be redone because actually there's a ton of biofilm on that wood because it's a real soft wood. So I'll be scrubbing that down, replacing the sand, putting new plants in it, I also, if I get time, I'm also going to be painting the back of the tank. So I'm hoping I have time. We have to do 3 other scapes, and a lot of shows in between. So can't say I'll do that, but it will at least be cleaned up, and it will be at Aqua Char Daytona at the Carib Sea booth. So it'll be redone with their products and a little bit cooler. So it'll be fun.
But because you asked that question and then the backup question, I feel like your tank did not hold up on the way home.
Jeff said, I think Shelby Fish Stream is an excellent idea. I'm looking forward to the new fish room build and the pygmy sunfish. Thank you. Yes, I love those pygmies. I'm just curious. You know what? I honestly think the ones out in the garage are not breeding because I forget if there's a siren in there. Every time I go to feed them, I'm like, what is that danger noodle?
Also, Shelby should be working on doing a variety of different kind of shiners too. So
yes, undescribed currently. There might be some description, but no one that actually collects wild fish. No. So Shady Grady said, what show are you planning on doing a talk at next year in Connecticut? That's right, next door to us. So what is it called?
it is the Northeast Council Convention. So it is April 5th and 7th at the Mystic Marriott in Groton, Connecticut.
I can't see.
Groton.
Groton. Who knows? Yeah. So, one of these days, hopefully, we'll get up to date on. We're gonna have to make a thing on our website, or I know Fish Fam Link usually keeps up to date with all the fish shows. So, but it'd be nice for our page to post them all, so that people know exactly which ones we're going to.
Yeah.
Crib says, out of all the killies that aren't an annual, which is the easiest for a beginner to try breeding? It's different for everybody. Like, I know people have bred rocket killies really easily. Personally, for me, the easiest for me was the firemouth killies fish, which is the Epilatus stegates. Those, I just threw a ton of moss in there and some mops, and they bred really well.
Clown killies also.
No, I have not bred them. Yeah, they're
you
just
had 'em
alive. No, there's an extra one in the tank, but I'm not sure if there was. If you want to get technical, these killies are the easiest to breed.
They're not really a killie.
Yeah, technically, but I mean, they're a killie. And then I also had blue lyre-tail killies, which is a...
Australis?
No, they're not Australis. That's what I always get them confused with. I can't remember off the top of my head, but blue lyre-tail, and they will come up. And it's not an amphisemon. It's not a fungulus. Oh, goodness. But those were pretty easy. If you take out the parents when there's eggs in the tank, no problem. They will hatch. You just got to make sure you either remove the mop and put it in a different water source or remove the parents, and they'll breed pretty fast. And I had most of them survive. So Ashley said, excited to see the bedroom project. I have a list of shows to attend next year. The Clash is definitely on the list and signed up for a escaping competition already for March. Excited to hear the talks. Awesome to hear, Ashley. Just make sure there's no more questions. It was season my tank didn't even hold at the show, laugh aloud, but I just did a fish tour of all my tanks, just posted about 10 minutes ago. So you're going to have to go see that. Welcome in, George. It don't look bad. It's growing on me. I actually loved your tank. I thought it kind of looked like a shipwreck that had opened up. So Lady R said, Nito, I have been loving my rainbow shiners from Kenny, and I would love to see what species you have. They actually are pretty close to rainbow shiners, but they have a stranger orange coloration to them, so it's pretty cool. Jeff said, Shelby, I bet if you move the adult fish out of the pygmy sunfish tank, you'd have way more fry than you think. Probably. And Jeff Kane said, clown killies also eat their fry if they find them. The colony breeding is false in my tank.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Definitely see my fire mouth Achilles fish, they have a way bigger jaw than the clown killies. They're just a little bit bigger. And they bred no problem in the tank, but I had to make sure that they were overfed, because now that I don't feed as much, I've been feeding like every other day, and I haven't been focusing on breeding. They're definitely eating their fry now. So I will say that clown killies for some people can breed in a tank and they will do good. They have to have super amount of coverage, and you need to be heavily feeding them that they're not hungry without causing issues. So Easy V Rider said, have you guys ever kept Babalti shrimp? Did I say that right this time?
Babalti, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We actually have some that are buried right now. I don't know why.
We never check on the tank. It's the top left tank of our fridge in the nook and cranny. So just feed it and hope for the best. We never really look at it. But Ashley said, Shelby, you've taken over the stream about fish breeding. You could definitely have your own channel. Thank you so much. If I was to do it, I think I would just create a different branch on the same channel. So I know a lot of people have like split channels, but that's too much work. At least this one, a lot of people will still get the notifications. It'll make it easier for me. And then we could just split it like, what is that called? Categories? I think that's what it's called. But yeah, it would be really fun to do it. I do enjoy talking about my fish, that's for sure. And I do know a lot about the shrimp, but he is just more knowledgeable about it, so I just let him speak. So
I thought I was going to get skunked and not be able to share it, but there it is.
Aww.
There's some eggs in the basket.
Yeah, and then they throw different colors of green. It's
kind of
pretty
just
cool.
Like flip-flop colors,
like
but the same shrimp can be bright green, dull green, no color at all, orange, brown, gray, and then green again. Like they're the chameleon shrimp for a reason.
Ashley said she saw a bobitis for sale at PetSmart today. Was very surprised to see it in a box store.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. They must have just got a good hookup.
Or it's that bobitis and not the other bobitis.
Yeah, I hate that bobitis.
There's a leafy bobitis, and then there's like a
almost algae looking,
a more ferny. Yeah.
And actually looks like an African water fern.
Yeah.
Instead of
a leaf.
I guess that looks like a fern too. It's just a different type of fern.
More like a leaf.
Yeah. There's the bobitis hetricola is what it's a broad leaf bobitis, and it's weird looking, but it doesn't stay together very well. It probably in harder water tanks I would say that it would do better. So, and then
yes, the Crips.
So when Shelby streams, will Grant be reading the chat to you? That's a good idea.
I would read chat tonight if I wasn't so out of it. My neck is stiffer than a board, and it is just.
I'm sorry.
Not been good. I'm sitting here trying to like spell ibuprofen to Shelby, and then she's just looking at it like, what are you asking for? And I'm like, pain pills. I need pain pills. And so she rushed and grabbed them for me, and then they messed up my stomach halfway through. It's been a stream, but Shelby made it from ending at an hour and 30 minutes to a whole 13 minutes overtime. So
no, it's everybody actually, participating. So thank you everyone who's still here participating. We appreciate it. You guys are great. Ashley said, I can see the passion for the fish. Love to see it. Would be awesome to see Shelby's fish playlist. Thank you. I'll have my Achilles Corner playlist eventually too. Johnny said, Grant, when are the plant sales coming with you and Crypt on the collaboration?
So I think those are going to be more for shows. So if Crypt wants to do the Connecticut show and he has some Crypts ready to go, then of course that'll be happening. However, if Crypt gets to a point where he's, above and beyond just being able to produce for the shows, then I'm sure I'll take some of them and start selling them on the website. But I think that's going to be at least until the Keystone Clash next year.
Yep. All right. We definitely need to get some sleep. I got to get up early in the morning. I appreciate everybody who participated, and it's so nice to see all of you here and really appreciate you guys.
Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the super chats, the super stickers. It is all much appreciated. You guys make this more than well worth it. And then stay tuned next week where we'd like to give it back, and we'll be giving a print. You can still enter for that by commenting down below. Give us a suggestion or just the best joke. Let's hear the best joke. All right. Dad jokes, welcome. Uncle jokes, not so much.
Thank you, guys.